So you're listening to the third of our 28th season, the third episode of Breaking Down Security. I am Brian Brake, and with us, as always, is Mr. Betcher and Ms. Berlin.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. So, very interesting week, at least for me at work. Compliance stuff is awful. So anybody have to deal with FedRAMP? Raise your hands. Nope. FedRAMP. It's awesome. It sucks balls. There's our explicit tag for the day. I've never had to prove a negative before, but it's awful. It's
really?
It's like, you have to make sure you're not able to install or mount CramFS file systems. And I'm like, nobody uses CramFS, But you have to create a check so that it can check to make sure that you're not actually mounting any CramFS file system. That's just some examples of it, or setting grub passwords as well. You can't do that on Amazon. Like, well, you have to have a check for that. And I'm like, you're effing killing me.
You have to check for. Do you have to have a check for it, or you just have to find the documentation where it says that's impossible?
No, they just want to check. Because the auditors are like, the government doesn't care. They just want to see that you're making those checks. So, FedRAMP is not security because they're wanting you to either follow STIG or CIS guidelines. So it's like, there's no security. It is just check the freaking box. And it bugs me because it's like, none of this stuff is adding any security. If you can mount a file system, you're probably root already or have sudo access to root. Right. So... you're going to be able to bypass any of these checks. You're not
going to try and mount a file system that,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Isn't native to the box anyways.
Yeah, it's stupid. And, it's about trying to make it rain in my company. So I get it, I guess. So anyway, enough about me and my wallowing in my misery. So in our Slack, I saw today, who was that? Tim, one of our,
Tim.
Who?
Tim.
Yeah. All right, tell us about it, Mr. Betcher. What did you do today? It was awesome.
Oh, I gave a talk.
Where did you give a talk at?
It was at the Deep East Texas Security Organization.
Okay. And where's the Deep East Texas Security Organization at?
Nacogdoches is home of Stephen F. Austin, if
I've been there.
Back straight. So there you go. Fun
Very
fact.
Cool. What did you give the talk on? What was it about?
Oh, the talk was
Steve Austin.
I didn't catch that.
He gave a talk about Stephen F. Austin.
Steve Austin, yeah.
Yes, Texas history.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was called Defending Attacks on a Budget of Error, Null Pointer Exception.
Whoa.
And I get tidbits. Most of the people there were small business type security people. They may not do security full time, but they do it part time, and they're trying to get better at security and how to defend attacks. So I created a talk around that.
Awesome.
And gave them some, tidbits. I think my favorite slide was on asset management, where the slide was essentially blank because that's the way most companies do asset management.
It was blank.
Yeah, it did well.
Oh,
so,
that's awesome.
They appreciated it. I appreciated the invite, and it was great.
So
sweet.
For those of you out there who are listening and you're thinking, hey, that's pretty cool, because you didn't actually go to Nacogdoches. That's like 3 hours from the Austin area. I've driven to Nacogdoches. It's a very scenic route, some dirt roads and such. You did it over Zoom, right? Like we're doing our show now.
I did.
Really?
Yes.
Yep.
It worked well. They had a big 65 monitor, and there I was, and they had a great time.
Yep.
Huh.
Yep. And I know that Tim is always looking for speakers, and he would probably do it much like the Zoom thing. So if you're interested, email bds.podcast if you've got an interesting talk. I'm sure Tim would love to get more people to come online and help him out with that. So he didn't solicit me for it, but I'm assuming he would be okay with me pimping out his organization and needing speakers. So there's a call for speakers eternally for debtsec.org. There you go. Okay, so without further ado, we have a gentleman on, and his name is Nick. Hang on, Balcarcel.
Yes.
I was doing well.
Good job, Brian. We're proud of you.
Don't you patronize me.
We're proud of you.
Don't you patronize me. That hurts. God, dang it, man. Oh. Well, it's Balcarcel. That's it. And he is not a U.S. citizen. He is a citizen of the country of Peru. So, which I have not visited Peru. I had got real close though. I really wanted to go up there, but our post-cruise trip to South America didn't allow for that. So we got to Santiago, Chile. So Nick works for a company, and the company's name is Rainforest QA, and they don't sponsor the show. I'm just stating a fact that that's who he works for. So a little background here. Back in 2017, we did a show. Actually, we did a news segment talking about how Expensify was found out to be using Amazon Mturk, which is a gig economy kind of organization that they're using Mturk and the people who work for Mturk to process receipts that fail on the Expensify application. So if you're traveling, for instance, and you go to a Starbucks and you buy coffee and you get the receipt because you're on business travel, and you wad it up and you put it in your pocket and you take it out and it's all rumpled and everything, you take a picture and Expensify can't read it. They send that receipt, and this is as far as I understand, they send this receipt to a queue where these Mturk workers at Amazon, which it's Mechanical Turk, it's short for Mechanical Turk, where they can process it for Expensify. And people have raised privacy issues. They're saying, well, people can see receipts, they can see health record information, there's some privacy issues there. So, we mentioned this on the show, and Nick actually reached out to us because he's a fellow Slacker. What up? And he said, hey, our people, our company uses this. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about some of the privacy issues, how his company vets, people who work on these human intelligence tasks, and we can talk about those in a little bit. And also what companies who engage third parties, like Rainforest QA, if you're wanting to use whatever services they are, what they have, and they disclose that, you can ask them questions about, intelligently about what they do and how they use the Turk people. So welcome, Nick, to the show.
Thank you.
Right on.
Yeah, well, as you said, I hear the show, and part of my job as a security lead in Rainforest QA is actually sit in front of security people like yourself and say, "Hi, please, can you open your network to random people from the internet?" And just smile and try to get that to work out. I thought it would be funny to share some of the stuff we have learned on the way. So for a little bit of context, what we do is QA as a service. Basically, you insert your test, like your application test, because everybody tests their applications, right? So in kind of plain English, so you will go and say, hey, go to this URL. Do you see a login form? Yes or no? Please enter these credentials. Are you logged in? Yes or no? Now that you're logged in, do you see this information in whatever dashboard? Yes or no? And that's the kind of job we give testers to do. And usually these QA environments are inside this company's network and whatnot. So we have to set up VPNs and some sort of accesses. And there are privacy issues all the time. Because wait, who are you going to let into my network again? How is this a good idea even? So we have like a lot of measurements and controls in place, which I thought it would be cool to discuss about this.
No, that's perfect because a lot of people, I know this was on Twitter and I actually did some research. I actually signed up for the Mturk stuff to understand how it works, and I found actually a decent article on it's called the Daily Dot, and they talked about what it is, what Mechanical Turk is, and then. So to go back even further, they had this thing called the Turk back in the day, which was it was like one of the first robots, and what it was it was designed to play chess. And the problem was it was a bit of a smoke and mirrors kind of thing because it wasn't a real robot. Somebody was actually inside the Turk making the moves for the robot. And now I don't know why Amazon called what they've got here the mechanical Turk, because it doesn't really translate for me that well. But
well, it does, because it's actually a person doing the work of robots, right? So there was a chess master inside the box.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
The chess master would be beating everybody that played, and they think it was a robot, right? So, now, so then behind the robots or the computers, when the computer can't figure it out, there's an actual person behind that, because the human brain is smarter than robots for now, and so you need humans to do some of these tasks.
Okay.
And funny enough, when I usually talk about our model, I describe it as artificial intelligence, because it looks like artificial intelligence, but it's not.
Right. Oh, very good. Very nice. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
So the original Wired article said, they were reading some of the Turk workers stuff, and they said, I wonder if Expensify Smart Scan users know Mturk workers enter their receipts. I'm looking at Uber receipts with full name, pickup, and drop-off addresses. So that was one of examples. I couldn't actually find anything on Amazon Turk when I was looking at these receipts. And I mean, some of these receipts, I could understand why they would need artificial intelligence to, enter these manually, because they were pretty much unreadable, or the fields didn't match up to anything that would make sense in a receipt. So I can understand why they would have what Amazon calls human intelligence tasks. And these are tasks that are created, they can be as low as a penny. So these people who are doing these tasks, they're not making a ton of money, but the idea is they're doing it volume versus, so it could be something as simple as inputting a receipt, or, take this list of 500 names and alphabetize them for me using, whatever method. And, you get paid a penny to run grep sort -u or whatever, to be able to.
Yeah. Or typing up a CAPTCHA, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah. We talked about that before the show, that bad guys could use these actually to, do things like capture defeating and what have you. So,
or even data labeling, right? Like what Google is doing with the CAPTCHA, like there is a car in this image or not? Is there a cat in this image or not? Or like whatever task you find out. There are some people doing their thesis, and they just send like, I need 10,000 people to file me a form, so I will pay 10 cents for every form file, which is going to save a lot of time going out and getting these 10,000 forms or surveys, whatever. Filled out.
Yeah, and you would think Google would have something like this when they do their Google Maps, like the Street View, to cover people's faces, cover license plates, things like that. Anything that would be private.
Yep. So before we started the show, Amanda, you said you actually signed up for this to do these. Why did you sign up? Was you wanting to make like the big monies?
It was before I started doing security stuff.
Okay. And
there's probably a whole big story that I shouldn't tell on the podcast about why I probably signed up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a gig economy, right?
It's what?
It's a gig economy, right? So, I mean, I've got people who work full-time jobs, but they also do like Uber on the weekends.
Right. It was like a supplemental income idea.
Right.
That I had. But yeah, I was cleaning out my email, trying to clear up some Google Drive space, and so I deleted most things like prior to 2000. I think I did like 2010.
Right.
And earlier, I deleted most things, and then I came upon that. I'm like, hey.
Very cool.
We just talked about this.
Excellent. Okay, so Nick, you've got these people who do work for y'all, and so I have to wonder, how do you vet complete random people and build the trust necessary to do the work that you want them to do?
Yeah. So first of all, you need to understand there are different ways of requesting work. The usual or the most known one is just use the API and tell them, this is the form I need filled, and that form will have like, put an image here, these are the fields, and this is the information I need into it. And that will, Mechanical Turk or whatever crowd provider you use, because there are others like Mechanical Turk out there. Mechanical Turk is most US and Australia based. There are others that we use like CrowdFlower, which is worldwide use as well, worldwide allowed. And they will do in their webpage, they will render this form, and they will let you let the workers or Turkers, as they call it, fill this form. But there is an highly underused feature which is called the external form, if I recall correctly.
You said they call them the Turkers?
Yeah,
they do. They call them Turkers.
I really wish they were called the Twerkers. Like that would have been.
Oh, tea workers,
amazing.
Turk workers, twerkers, yeah. Oh,
Twerkers.
Very nice.
I would call them that.
Right. So there is this feature they call external question, which is basically instead of asking them to fill a form, you will ask them to render an iframe with your application on it. So then you can do whatever you want. And they will call this application with like special get parameters and whatever, so you will know who the worker is. So the way we do it is we do this thing where we have a perpetual request for work there. And we use Mechanical Turk more, not really as, hey, this is the task, please do it, but more of a top of the funnel in ingest of workers. So we will have this perpetual thing, which is test the website. And they will go and test the website, but they're not actually testing a website of our customers. They are just doing, we have this application which renders an application, actually, a web application, and it randomly inserts bugs through the process. So we already know what the actual answer is, but every time you do it, it's probably different, because sometimes it's going to have the bug, sometimes it's not going to have the bug, and sometimes it's the first step, and sometimes it's the fourth step, or whatever. So we use that as a training, and the workers first go through this training, and once we have them, we have had them do enough training works that we're comfortable that they are going to know most of the stuff they're going to encounter with our clients, because some clients have like really specific things, like super heavy data sheets with like statistical information that you need to go to the detail to check, like, is this 0.001 difference between one and the other, and stuff like that. So once we have that, we actually let them to go into like real jobs, like real customer websites to test the stuff. We still pay the same through the whole process. And then during this process, this testing is already like, it will rule out most of the bots and most of the people, because we have had a lot of problems in the past. I have been working in Rainforest for 3 years, and I remember one of our biggest issues at the beginning, like 3 years ago, was what we call the yes testers. Like people that will just go there and say like yes, all the questions. It doesn't matter if they are if it should be a no because the test should fail. They would just like yes, because they are trying to maximize money and minimize work. So that will rule out most of that people and bots as well and whatnot. So
right.
So you actually you already bet out a lot of people. And because we have this iframe, we're allowed to put our own users and our own requirements for them to do the jobs or not. We have stuff like if you want to go to these special kind of jobs, because we even have HIPAA regulated customers. Mm-hmm. So to be able to do work for them, you need to sign this BAA, and you need to send me malware scans of your computer, and you need to send me a picture of your actual workstation to see if it's private enough or not. We have some customers that they want a special NDA with them. So we have all the stuff, and we know this worker has this stuff signed or not. And I can give this specific one, the jobs for this worker, for this customer or not. Another thing we do as well to have more control is we don't let them test. They don't test in their own machines or in this application. They actually, this iframe that is render, which at some point it just goes to our own application, and it just goes to like portal.rainforestqa.com or something. I don't remember the exact URL, and they get the things there. They even have now a Chrome plugin that will tell them and open the job. So our application is actually a web application with a small connection over BNC to our virtual machines. So we spin up a virtual machine and give them here is a virtual machine running Windows with Chrome or whatever. So we can have multiple, like the same tester testing multiple platforms if we want, even like mobile devices and whatnot. And because we control these virtual machines, we can do cool things like I have all the machines fully transparent proxied. So everything that goes out of the network, I know what's happening. Because we control the BNC connection. I have every keyboard press that they do on the machines and every mouse movement, and which is really cool because when you see the results of the test and you see the screenshots, you can actually see the mouse movements render on top of the screenshot.
Right.
And we take all the screenshots and all the stuff from outside the machine, not inside the VM. It's just like in the, I don't have the specific, that's the ops team doing it, but from the server that actually runs the machines, the host, they take the screenshots and they take video of everything that the tester did and logs and whatnot. So if it comes to some forensics work, we have like everything, like this is exactly what happened. This is exactly what happened during your connection. And
which
then
is nice. I don't think a lot of people probably have that.
yeah. It's actually pretty interesting. And some it's even funny because some customers actually they use something we call the on-premise crowd. They bring their own crowd. They don't want to use the mechanical Turks and whatever. They want to use. I have my 100 people testing, my 50 QA engineers or 10 QA engineers, whatever. I just want to use your infrastructure, and I want these people to run on your machines and to test it. The original thinking behind doing this was to have repeatability, because something broke. It broke because of the extensions installed in this Chrome browser or whatever. So this time we have like super repeatability, and some customers actually like that, and they have full control of that stuff. So we have like a lot of logs for everything and everything that happened, which is like super cool.
Very nice. So your model sounds a lot like how bug bounty programs work. So if you go to the bug crowds or the hacker ones of the world, they have, you can, depending on how you want to run your bug bounty, you can open it up to the entire world and everybody can send in bug reports to hacker one, and you get a bunch of noise, and maybe you get stuff that is a bug, and maybe you get, some guy who can't figure out what a robots.txt is. And then they also have a cadre of internal people that they do for special things. So I mean, it sounds a lot like the bug bounty programs that most people employ. So, which is very, very interesting. The model that it's translated differently here.
Yep. The big difference is that usually when you do bug bounties, you have like super specialized people, because you need these like pen testers or vulnerability researchers.
Right.
In the case of testing applications, we can open up the gates way more, because you actually want your application being tested by like an average Joe. Mm-hmm. Because that's going to be your user at the end of the day. So if they don't understand something on your UI, it's not our core business. We just do QA, like regression testing. And now there is something we call exploratory testing, which is actually these testers writing the test for you. Mm-hmm. And going like, just these are credentials, this is my website, go figure out like user flows and stuff, and then they will write the test, which is also super cool. And that's the other thing, like because of we have this whole control and we have this continual assessment, we even have this group which we call the super testers, which is a group originally of 10 people, like handpicked from the crowd. I have no idea how many we have right now because I lost control of track of what happens. And these like super testers, they do some extra special stuff on some points. One of these is tester reviewing testers. So because we have so many people doing this stuff, and we have some like machine learning and buzzwords, checking the crowd and checking all these data we collect and see if a test was like honest or it was like something trying to cheat us or something weird happened during that test or with that machine. It will fire an alert, and these tester reviewing testers are going to review the work that the other people did. and they have like this UI where they will go step by step, and like the machine, the screenshots and the videos and whatnot, and they're going to review it and say like, yeah, no, this is like machine learning being broken. This test is fine, or yes, this is something really weird. You need to look into it, and then we can use that information to like ban the testers. Like, sorry, you're not working for us anymore because you did this something really bad thing. Because we have stuff like the tester like no, and why are you answering no, and they input some information, so you might find some swear words here and there, or something really bad that we actually show our customers. So like, yeah, no, I don't want to work with you anymore. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, very nice. Did anybody have any questions? I have some questions, but I don't want to take up the whole time. So
I heard that things like this, like the crowdsourced work, that people have tested like phishing emails, and it's very accurate. When you send a phishing email to 50 people and you get 48 of them say, yeah, this is bad, it's pretty accurate.
Right.
You guys heard of that?
I would imagine any kind of task that can be broken up into smaller bits and decentralized would be very much, I mean, they started with some of the earliest things that I'm remembering now that talking about the decentralization is the SETI at home stuff, where you're taking data from the Arecibo, Puerto Rico, radio satellite. And, when your screensaver came on back in the day, this was before we mined Bitcoin to waste our processor cycles, you would actually crunch the data looking for extraterrestrial life, or folding at home where you're looking for the cure for cancer. So this is just slower because you're employing people. So yeah, I can imagine how easy sending out a phishing email. Would you click on this? I might do that. Is it testing those would definitely make sense, but.
So can we use the Mechanical Turk people to mine Bitcoin?
Wow. Yes, you might be able to do that. Yeah. Oh.
Solve this really complicated equation.
Okay, well, that's going to be the last episode of Breaking Down Security, because I'm going to be retiring to Tahiti making billions of dollars. Yeah. No. So, okay. So here's my question. You guys sell QA as a service. So, there must be, companies that are doing machine language. I mean, is it something other than just tuning algorithms? Is it, you've got developers creating code and they do testing for those as well? How does that integrate into the SDLC?
No. So, it's part of the CI/CD world.
Right.
So, for example, in our case, our SDLC, right? How this works? We have this branch we merge to develop, and then every time you push to this branch, you will fire the CI/CD. You have all the unit testing running against that code. So it's pretty fast. It goes about in 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and an hour. Our unit test base is huge.
Right.
When it gets merged to develop, we at the start of the CI/CD cycle and at the beginning of the CI, we push to the staging and QI environment, and then we fire both the unit testing and we make an API call to Rainforest to test Rainforest. So we have the unit test running, and at the same time we have the crowd testing the QA environment. The QA environment of this release. So before I'm able to merge develop into master, I need to have both the unit test pass and Rainforest QA test pass. I think it's already we use CircleCi, and with CircleCi 2.0 you can have this breakdown, and it will show you in GitHub, and it will show the different ones. It used to be that it was just CircleCi saying yes or no, and part of the CircleCi logic to say yes and no was did Rainforest test pass or not. So that's kind of how it works. We have some of our customers that just do weekly releases, so they just test once a week. We have some customers that have every day on the morning, before every developer goes to job, they will test it. And of course, you have people just running Rainforest QA against production, because why not test it to production?
Right. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how you guys are integrating, because I'm sure not every company is using machine language and artificial intelligence, and you're not all, the only thing you guys do is train machine algorithms and such. So,
so basically what we do is functionality testing, right? So it's someone actually interacting with your application and test the whole functionality, not unit test or specific stuff. So we don't go to that level. We don't go down to like unit test.
Right.
So it's completely independent of what languages you're using. Like, I don't care. Just give me a URL, I will test it. Or give me a mobile application, I will install in these mobile devices, and I will give it to our testers in the same way. So it's just like, give me your finalized application, and I will give some person access to it. And it was pretty fast. Like, it's super, super hard that one run finishes in more than an hour. Usually it's 30 minutes or less, because like, you split it into small chunks, and every like flow is like 5 or 6 steps, between 3 and 10 steps usually. So we have like all the crowd doing it in parallel. So your run runs like really seriously fast. Okay.
So that you guys are saving time for a company who doesn't have to have an entire QA department to do this stuff. Yeah, basically. So a test, and we actually have some metrics to that, and you can actually see the speed up. I have seen speed ups of like 3,000 times, which is basically how much one person will take to do the same test, and it could be a month, and we did it in like 1 hour, or a week and 1 hour. So it's like super, super like high speed up. So yeah, that's basically the model we have. So how is this better than automated testing? Because I know that there are automated tests that happen. Is it the human touch?
It's complementary. It's complementary. Yes, the human touch. It's complementary. We have both. We have automatic testing and unit testing and whatnot. And then we have the user interface, because testing the user interface is super complicated. There is like Selenium tests and stuff like that supposedly emulate the user, and they will go but you need to go to the level of find an element in the HTML with this tag and then click on it. But it doesn't matter how the HTML tag is called. You just want like this round blue thing that you call a button to be clicked. So you can just click a button.
I have so many apps that I can think of and websites that I can think of that I really just need to contact them and send them to your company. Because like, if you think of the websites that probably only have like one engineer, they're like, oh yeah, that'll be fine for the customer. And then you're navigating it and pulling your hair out because nothing works how it should and nothing's intuitive. And yeah, I could see a big draw for that.
So are there places where this kind of Mturk stuff wouldn't work, though? I'm thinking like really secure environments, or if you're, one of those companies that don't sanitize their data. Government, well, obviously government, yeah.
We have had some prospects that they had. So we had companies that were government contractors. So they had to go through like they cannot let any non-US citizens see their stuff.
Yeah.
So they need to make sure that only US citizens are testing their applications and whatnot, because they have like super secret high tech for the military and whatnot. So that's not a good use case, because you cannot tell if the person is in Australia or India or Bangladesh or the US. You can go to like one level of thing, because you can check the IPs and stuff, but they can be spoofed, right? They can be VPN and proxied and whatnot. So it's not super secure. So for this kind of stuff, it's kind of complicated, because you don't want to rely on the crowd if you have this kind of strict restrictions on who wants to access. But other than that, it's like, I mean, it depends on what data you're trying to deal with, right?
Yeah.
And one super funny thing about how this whole Expensify story started is like, there is this Mechanical Turker complaining that there is an Uber receipt in Mechanical Turk, but there is no problem that a random stranger, as an Uber driver, got the address, phone, and name of this person.
Right.
Because it's the same thing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you click on an app, a random stranger in a car gets your address, phone number, and name, and then picks you up. But then when that receipt goes to the internet, that's a problem, suddenly.
Yep.
I mean, it's just about anonymity, right? Like the Uber driver, you actually see it. You see his face. You see his name as well on your phone. While the Mechanical Turk person, you probably just see a number on the machine. So it's just about de-anonymizing the person.
Yep.
And then you're supposed to define.
Yep. Yeah. For like the examples, I'm going back to the receipts again that I saw. There were no names on them. I mean, the only names that I saw were like servers at restaurants. There were no, addresses. There were no names of people who had these things. I mean, there's probably ways of identifying them through like the file name or what have you, but I didn't see anything that was overly identifying. I mean, I saw a guy, got a prime rib at a Sizzler or something for $20, but I don't know who got that. I mean, yeah, I can. My only thing is, so as you're talking about, people who have access to certain data, your agreement with the companies that you work with has to be fairly bilateral. I mean, you have to ask that company too, in your testing environment, do you put real data inside your testing environment, which is a cardinal no-no for most development companies, but I know that they do because generating fake data takes time, takes effort. So it's just easier for them to, take a carve of the production database and put it into testing, because nobody's going to notice,
Or there's even cases where the environment is super hard to replicate, right? And I'm not gonna testify of this. If you have this like hospital application or whatever, and you have to have this huge amount of IoT devices feeding into this system, how are you going to replicate that in the QA environment?
Right.
And how are you going to fake all of this data? It's near to impossible.
Yep.
So
there's interfaces and this. It's not just one application. It's 30 applications talking to each other, and it's a lot of them rely on licensing, and you can't replicate that stuff in a lab.
Yep.
So how do you?
Some people are forced to do it.
Right. How do you guys minimize data leakage? I mean, do you guys accept companies that do take carves or do? Hey, we don't have a test environment that's proper, so we're going to let you poke around in the production database.
For cards, specifically like credit cards, we do something actually pretty fun. We have virtual credit cards. So we provide the credit cards for the company to use. So you want some purchases, here is a credit card that we give the tester, which is ours. So we don't need to do like PCI, DSS, because it's our card. Like, who cares? So we give that to the tester, and then they use that in their application. So we try to provide every tool they want, and at the end of the day, like it's just an advisory. Like, hey, what you're trying to do is probably bad, but it's your decision at the end of the day. Here is if you actually want to do it, here is a contract saying that it's your responsibility because we told you so.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the customer's decision, and we try to do our best to do it. Like the data is only processed in our virtual machines, which we have full control of it. But again, nothing prevents a tester from taking out their phone and taking a picture of the screen. Right. There is no way I can secure against that.
Yeah.
But it's like nothing is 100% secure. It's just like raising the bar enough so that it doesn't happen. So I think we have focused all of our effort into raising the bar enough. So we have like good people in the community. We actually have like 2 people working. One is the community manager, one is tester support, trying to do all the stuff, because one of the most common sources of leakage is a tester not knowing what to do or being in doubt about something. So they will take a screenshot and post it on an online forum.
Right.
And it's not malicious. They're not trying to leak the data. They're just trying to get an answer. So we find out that we need to put in place a system where they don't actually need to go for answers to a forum. They can come to us and ask the questions, and we will help them and help them figure out, so they don't have to take the screenshot and send it to a forum in the public internet.
How do you cross that chasm of language, right? So if these people are all over the world and something is only in English, how do they know how to follow the instructions or what to click on, things like that? Do you have translators or something?
Yeah, no, because so we do a couple of things. First of all, we rule out the people that don't speak English because of the training. The training is in English. If you cannot do the training, you cannot work for us. Like plain as that. The English of most people are not super good. They understand English, but then when they try to come to us, they write it and speak it kind of bad. in some cases. There is actually this ongoing joke in the company, which is about doing the needful. Apparently, in India, they speak like Queen Days English. So doing the needful is actually a phrase they use a lot.
Yes.
So every support request we will have from people in India will say like, hey, I need this done. Like, please do the needful. And the first was like, what the hell is going on here? Like, what is this? And then we started using it, and it's like in every company, whatever, there is like doing the needful written somewhere. It's just that, right? In the assessments and all the training, it's in English, so we rule them out. We are working towards something which is trying to get, if an application is in Russian, just get Russian people to do it, or in Spanish, just get Latin American people or Spanish people to test it. Or we only want people from Australia, or we only want people from these ages and whatnot. It's still in progress. We still haven't released that functionality yet, but we have some MVPs going on. That's probably going to be challenging because how do I know that this person actually speaks Russian?
Right.
And I cannot write the assessment for that because I don't know Russian. So like, what's going to do? That's going to be an interesting challenge. English is easy because I just write the training in English and go about my life, right? But the other languages are going to be one of the challenges we're going to have.
Okay. Very nice. So so your company doesn't sponsor the podcast. Who are like your biggest competitors? Who's in the same space with you that do QA as a service?
There is one company that just recently got like acquired. I don't know. I don't work in marketing. I don't know from the top of my head who our competitors are. I have been exposed to that information a lot of time, but I just like don't retain it because
that's fair. Yeah.
It's not part of my job. I need to figure out so much stuff. We're a small startup, right? Like we're like 100 people company, and I'm the longest lasting employee. So like I have been around to see a lot of the stuff, and I'm the like one-man security team. So you can imagine how much stuff I need to do. So I just don't pay attention to that.
Okay. Let me see. Do we have anybody have any other questions, any other thoughts, or so is this blog, so there's a bunch of links down here at on Rainforest QA. Is this the blog? Is this your blog here, or is this somebody else's?
No,
at the
that's
company?
the company's blog.
Okay.
Some of those blog posts were written by me. Some by my co-workers, all talking on the topic of mechanical Turk and how we do the crowd. There is even a series of posts in the blog about our tester highlights. So we pick one random tester from the crowd, and we do an interview with them, and we just make a blog post about who they are, who their story is, and like the picture, so you can actually see the human behind the work.
Nice. What's the turnover on something like this? I mean, do you have people who, do one job and then leave and realize it's not for them, or do you have people who've been here the whole time?
Yeah. No, we have both. We have people that have been here since I can remember, and even before I joined the company. Like Rainforest QA started in 2012. I joined in 2015. Yeah, 3 years ago, 2015, and there is like one tester which is well known. Like everybody in the company knows who he is because he was like the hardest like complainer about the time. We love him. He's like one of the best workers, and
he's a complainer, but we love him. He's just a happy curmudgeon.
It's pretty fun because like this person, he's usually right when he complains, but it's just the way he complains is like really, really like angry complainer.
Oh, okay.
But he's usually right. That's the problem. So we cannot tell them like go away because like he usually is on the right track, and he's actually one of our best workers. Nice. That information the science team has. We have all of that metric. Again, not my job. I don't usually look into that stuff. But we have everything. We have from people that come do 2 jobs and then we're like, no, go away. Not thank you. I don't want to work with you. Or people that just come and say like, I don't want to do this. This is not for me, and they just go away or whatever. But we have like a huge crowd. We have like, I don't know. I think the last The last I heard was like 6,000 people in a month.
Goodness.
Testing for us.
Wowzers.
Yeah, it's. I think like online at the same time we can have anywhere from 600 people to like 3,000 people.
Well, how do you scale like that? I mean, are you just Are they just waiting to be put in the queue, or I mean, how does that work?
So we brought this Chrome. It's actually a really funny story. So we have this Chrome plugin that they install in their machines. The first iteration of that was like this script will every 5 seconds query an API endpoint and say, is there work? And we will check like hey, blah blah blah, is there work? And we will check like this person credentials and what access they have and what not, and then we will say yes or no. The problem came when there were no work, when there was no work to give them, because if you come and say like, yes, there is work here, there is work, then I don't hear from you for whatever time it takes you to do the job, 10 minutes, like whatever. Mm-hmm. But if there is no work, they will just keep coming every 5 seconds. So they will basically DDoS our application just with this. So I remember I had to, like, the first solution we did, I just brought like a really quick proxy in Golang that it would just query the main application and check like just the counts of work. Is there work? How many work? Is there like we're already on our top of people we can give work to, because we have so many virtual machines that we can give, right? And if there was no work, so this situation where it's what usually the DOS, this proxy will say just no. And if there were like just this math saying, yes, there might be some work, we let them through. Then we change it to it now uses WebSockets and really fancy stuff where we push to the testers instead of they querying us. But yeah, scaling has been fun, to say the least.
Yeah, no joke.
You ever do any tests like testing for logic flags? You just give them carte blanche in some sort of a application, and then you just type whatever they want, special characters, Unicode, whatever, and just looking for things.
We don't. We don't do. There is a plan for at some point going to do stuff like that. We want to go into the security space and security testing and this kind of like fuzziness testing. But again, we're a small startup. There is just so much we can do. Right. So we have been focusing on regression testing right now. Once we have this, and then now we're also working on artificial intelligence. So we're replacing some of these testers with actual like artificial intelligence thing. I think right now 17% of our tests are actually done just by a machine, not by a tester. And as we grow, the thing is that we need the data we have, because you have humans testing this application, and we collect a lot of data, and with that data we feed the machine learning algorithm and blah blah blah, and they test or something like that. So we still need to fail over to the crowd, or they test, and if they find a failure or they suspect a failure, they will fall to the crowd and say like, please check this, or if they pass, just pass and go on, and just the tester, the artificial intelligence thing did it. That's where we're focusing, or we're focused on now. But there are plans for doing this fuzziness testing and whatnot at some point.
So you help companies train their machine learning algorithms while at the same time training your own machine learning algorithms to train their machine learning algorithms.
No, we just train our machine learning algorithm.
Yeah, but your ML algos are also training the company that you're contracting with algos, right?
No.
Oh, okay, I must have missed something there.
We just keep the data. I mean, they can download the data and they can train them if they figure out how to do it. I have no idea how to do it. I'm not a data scientist. But if they do it, there is like all the information and all the data they can download from our side and do it themselves. But the thing is, since we have so many customers doing it, we have like a special ability to collect way more data than a customer does. And even if they keep their own data, our data set is still bigger. So our training algorithm is like way more tuned up. So theoretically, yes. It's probably going to be really hard. Like if we haven't figured it out with the amount of data we have, I don't think one of our customers can do it. I might be wrong. They might, but
so. Do you run into any kind of privacy issues? Because you said you're keeping your own data sets. How does privacy and compliance requirements hit you guys? I mean, if you're doing jobs for companies in Europe, you're starting to deal with the GDPR stuff. So not only, go ahead.
GDPR, I'm actually checking with the lawyers right now on how much. Apparently, not a lot because of what data we have, and it's mostly fake data. So there are not a lot of problems on privacy right there. The biggest problems usually come with like, oh, what if my competitor looks into my super private new development I'm doing and you're testing, which you're testing it already in your QA environment. By the time your competitor already look into it, it's already released probably, so it's probably not a concern. But yeah, we have like, you need to store the data somewhere, and it needs to be secure, and it's like just normal stuff, right?
Sure. Just
normal stuff on where you store it, how you store it, how you give access to it, and typical day-to-day any security engineer has to deal with.
Okay. Excellent. So, Ms. Berlin, Mr. Boettcher, do you have anything you'd like to discuss? Any other questions?
Nope. I'm good.
Well, I actually feel a little better. You know, I think the Expensify thing, people were just surprised that is like the new hotness. It's almost, yeah. Oh my God, people are outsourcing work. You know, yeah.
Actually, Mechanical Turk has 10 years already. I just find out while writing the paper. Which is like the paper. I brought this paper, which has been reviewed, and it's probably going to be in the show notes, I guess. It's a PDF.
I put it in the show notes, yep.
If you want to read it, there is like way more details. And it's basically the same thing I have discussed here, but there are a lot of more details probably there.
Yep.
And if there are something that you want to know, just like I can add it in there, I guess.
Cool. Well, that leads us to our segue. How would people, if they wanted to engage you about, I don't know, if they wanted to talk to you about crowd, you know, what did you call it? Crowd
security?
Crowd security, yes. If they wanted to discuss with you that thing, you know, or you know, maybe they wanted to engage you for, you know, work, how would they go about getting a hold of you?
I'm on Twitter, NXBL, B as in Virginia, not as in Boston. I'm also on the Slack channel, which already reached 1,000 people this week.
I know, right? Wow, I know.
And I'm actually pretty active, I guess. I'm annoying, so I'm usually annoying people in the Slack channel.
No.
So you can find me there as well.
No more than myself.
Me too.
No more than myself. So you're on Twitter. Yeah, cool. I appreciate you coming on and you know, helping us out with this. I just found it interesting that, you know, I've never actually heard of the Turk stuff before the Expensify thing. So, yeah, I would imagine a lot of people didn't either, and you know, it might have thrown them for a loop. So it's good we asked.
And it's a topic that's getting a lot of momentum, right? We have like Uber, and we have Backcrowd, and we have HackerOne, and we have like whatnot. It's all crowd. It's all the same concepts. Right. It's just like specialized, like TaskRabbit. It's again a random stranger just coming to your house to do some housework. Still a crowd.
Yeah.
So I guess we're going through that. Some people call it the shared economy.
Right.
It's the crowd.
Yep. Cool. So, Mr. Boettcher, how would people find you and talk to you about security or malware or, you know, things?
Just go to Twitter, look for Brian Brake's account, and I'm one of his followers.
Wow. Wowzers. It's not like that, dude. You've got some followers.
Boetcherpwned, BOETTCHERPWNED.
He is available for, you know, book signings, and, you know, he'll sign other people's books. Yeah, he'll sign other people's books. So
I've already signed other people's books. That's great.
Yeah. Ms. Berlin, how would people get a hold of you?
Twitter and Slack at InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR.
Right on. So you can find me. I'm at Brian Brake, BRYAN, BRAKE. We're at BrakeSec. The podcast is BRAKESEC. We have a Slack, which we've taken the invite link out, and I don't think it's actually hurt us any. I wake up every morning and there's about 5 people who've DM'd me on the BrakeSec Twitter asking me to access the Slack. So DM us on Twitter or email bds.podcast@gmail.com and we'll get you the invite link. I have asked a few people to verify that they are not in fact bots, because they didn't have any followers, no tweet history. They followed like 160 people and didn't have a profile picture. So I'm like,
They probably created the Twitter account just to get the link to join Slack.
Maybe, yeah. Well,
So why not just give them like your cell phone number on the podcast or something, and they can like text you and ask for a link.
Oh yeah, well my cell phone's broken right now, so I don't have a phone number. So yeah, so
if your OSINT's good enough, you can send Brian a text.
Yeah. Achievement unlocked. You figured out what my phone number was. So
Send him a parcel.
Yeah. Yep. So we have so much going on right now. Everybody on the show has something going on. I want to mention all of our Patreon people. Thank you for giving money and helping support the show. Even those of you who give $1, it's still, that's one less buck that I got to, try to scrounge up in pocket change to buy hosting and time and Zoom WebExes and paying for things. So we appreciate that. So Amanda's class. So Amanda is disrupting the cyber kill chain cybers. We got to figure out an official name. So it's disrupting the kill chain. Is it? Yeah, I think it is probably.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It starts on the 4th of February, 2018. We're charging $100 for the class. So if you want to sign up for the class, and it's 4 sessions, much like how we do all of our other trainings with Tyler Hudak and Miss Sunnyware with our web app stuff. $100 for 4 sessions or $50 for early video access. So you can PayPal us, because we're using PayPal. Links in the show notes, paypal.me/BDS podcast. And
can you explain a little bit about it?
Yes, please. There is a teaser out there. There's a Google Doc link that's going to be in the show notes that she's going to give me. And
it's like a full description and breakdown of what happens, not per day, but per, I don't know, like I list what happens every 15 minutes or something.
Right.
And, so I had this idea that a lot of people use the kill chain for just boardroom talk and to buy Blinky boxes and never actually put any use to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was working with pen testers that I know and our red team where I work, and seeing, okay, well, what steps do you do to accomplish this goal, and tying those to defensive measures and different steps of the kill chain. And a lot of it is Windows based. So I've been trying to find little things that aren't Windows based, but honestly, the majority of attack services that either sysadmins or whatever have to worry about it's Windows. So
right.
A lot of it's going to be group policy and PowerShell. There's a couple Python things in there.
Yep.
But yeah, if you don't know how to do Windows Server stuff, it's going to be a lot of new things.
Right, and it's going to be about 4 or maybe 5 hours. You said here for 4 hours, but
I have 4 for sure.
Yeah, but there's been a bunch of. MITRE has updated the attack matrix that you like, and there's going to be a bunch of new stuff. So I would almost be surprised if you didn't get another hour out of that, because they added like 19 new things. So
yeah, we'll see if I can get some of them in there.
Right on. Okay, so yeah, target audience is system admins looking for guides for configuration changes, general security practitioners, IT practitioners encouraged by their organization to be in InfoSec roles, or people who want to hear me talk for 4 hours. Okay, well, that's, don't sell yourself short. These sold out. The 2 that you did sold out, right? At trainings, conferences.
I actually was in the O'Reilly one. It was pretty fun.
Oh, you're still here? Oh no, I'm just kidding.
What was really weird though is, so I gave a 3-hour version of it at O'Reilly, and then now I just keep on adding stuff to it.
Right.
Eventually, it's going to be like a 6-day course or something, I think.
Very nice.
But when I did it at O'Reilly, there was just such a very, very broad range of people in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jerry Bell went.
Oh,
I'm not sure why he was in there.
From Defensive Security podcast,
right. Yeah. And then like there were people that have been doing Windows admin stuff for forever. So a lot of it was like right in their wheelhouse, maybe something that they have not done before.
Right.
I had some red teamers in there, and then I had a couple people that had never done anything security or sysadmin related. So it was a very hard gap to bridge,
right,
on either being not technical enough or way too easy.
Sure. So Nick, you said you took the class. What did you think about it?
It was actually pretty cool. It was actually super fun. There was 3 hours straight first thing in the morning, so we're like kind of sleepy,
tired.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was like super comprehensive. I'm actually stealing some parts of her presentation to use on my yearly security awareness training for the company.
Nice.
So that's how good and useful it was for me, at least.
We call it appropriating or borrowing. Yes. Stealing is such a harsh word.
Borrowing.
I'm Peruvian. I don't care.
Oh, very nice.
That you're using that stuff, in your day-to-day job, or year-to-year job in this case, but you actually took some tidbits from that and are using it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's super actionable. You'll be able to take this back and start using it immediately. So it sounds awesome.
I turned it into a 19-page white paper that I've been giving to customers.
Nice. Very nice. So,
I don't know if they're actually reading it or not.
Yeah. So that starts on the 4th of February. There's still plenty of time for you to get in on that. It's only $100 for 4 sessions, so that's like $25 a session, and it's not bad. And we'll give you video access. You'll have access to the videos we were recorded on a Zoom. So that's awesome. Hack in the Box. There's still time for you to buy tickets, as far as I know. If you go to the link in the show notes, you can check out using the Breaking Security discount code in Amsterdam. You can enjoy Hack in the Box, which is phenomenal. So definitely
go to Amsterdam.
I know. I want to go to Amsterdam. I know, right? They told me, they said, Brian, if you come, there'll be a free ticket for you. And I was like, I can't do it because I'm going to be taking a trip to Eastern Europe in October. So no, I can't. Sorry. But I would love to go to Amsterdam. So before we go real quick, a couple more things. Mr. Betcher, talk about the podcast. Do it now, please.
Okay. We started a new podcast called Breaking Down IR.
IR being infrared.
Breaking Down Incident Response.
Right.
It's part of the Breaking Down Security family. It's a family now, right?
Right.
So Michael Goff and I host, and we have guests and sponsors and all that. So we recorded the first one this week. That should be out soon.
Right.
We'll put the first, 4 or 5 episodes in the main feed and then split that off later.
Very cool.
A lot of fun. And we'll do it a monthly thing for now and see how it goes.
Very nice. Okay. All right. Yeah, you can check that out. It'll be on our RSS feed. So if you're already on that, it'll be there. They also have a separate website because they're all fancy and stuff. They're using Squarespace or something. So yeah. One last thing: if you're in the Seattle area or Redmond, Bellevue, Renton, South Sound area, and you want to take some SANS courses without having to take a whole week of vacation off or what have you, I'm doing a SANS 504 mentor course in Redmond at a small software company called Microsoft. They have been more than generous and are donating a conference room so that I can teach my 7-week course. It's every Thursday night starting March 1st to like mid-April. So if you are interested, there's a link in the show notes to that. There's still early bird pricing until February 1st, and then less early bird pricing till February 15th. And there's also deals like 3 for 2. So if 3 of your friends sign up, one of them is actually free. So you can get like 30% off on a class. So it's fairly decent deal. So yeah, check that out, please. Please. There's only a few spots left, but it's SANS wants me to pimp it out, and I I need to pimp it out because that's how I get paid money. So, all right, we're done this week. Thank you, Nick, for coming on the show. Thank you for being on our Slack and contributing and helping out. And, I'm sorry, one last thing. David's resume review went fantastically. We had an open resume review on our Zoom last night. Had 18 people show up, had about 30 resumes. And it was a great time. We had people who, from a CISO all the way down to a security analyst, talking about resumes and rating them. It was phenomenal time. So we're going to do another one of those probably before B-Sides Nashville, because Dave Sybuck, who is moderating that, is going to also do a resume review at B-Sides Nashville. So if you are interested in having your resume looked at and you're not going to be at B-Sides Nashville, hit us up on a DM or email on bds.podcast@gmail.com, and we will get you into our Slack. The career advice track that we have is, we can do one-offs and we can talk about your resumes, so somebody can look at it for you. So, all right, I am done. Like I said, thanks again, Nick, for coming. Appreciate you. And
thank you for inviting me.
No problem. So that was it for Breaking Down Security this week. Everyone, be kind to one another. Try to stay away from the drama on Twitter, and we will talk to you all. We will talk to you all again very soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.